On the night of October 20th, 2010, a college student was driving down a dark road. While he was distracted by changing a CD and not paying attention to the road, he heard a sudden crash. He braked quickly, got out of the car, and found a woman lying on the ground. A scooter was a few meters away. Surprisingly, instead of offering help, the student took a knife from his bag. Welcome to Red Eastern True Crime. If you like true crime stories, please subscribe to my channel. Let's dive into this story. This incident took place in Xi'an, Shanxi Province. Xi'an is a well-known historical city in China and the site of the Terracotta Warriors. At around 11 p.m. on October 20th, 2010, the 110 Emergency Center in Xi'an received a call about a woman lying in a pool of blood on the side of the road in the southern suburb near the university town of Hanlin Road. Police officers quickly arrived on the scene and found the woman lying face up about 1 meter from the side of the road, with her scooter a few meters away and skid marks nearby. Despite their quick response, the woman was already dead. At first, the police thought it was a hit-and-run accident, but when they examined the deceased woman's injuries, they found not only bruises but also stab wounds from a sharp object. The blood evidence led the police to believe that this was the scene of the original crime. After examining the victim's belongings, they identified her as Zhang Miao, whom we will call Mei. She was born in 1984 and was 26 years old at the time of the incident. Mei lived just 3 kilometers from where she died. She was the eldest of 3 children in a peasant family. Due to financial difficulties, Mei's father often worked away from home to support the family. In 1998, he broke his leg in a car accident, resulting in a $2,500 hospital bill that added to the family's financial stress. The following year, when Mei graduated from junior high school, she decided to work to help her parents instead of continuing her education. She started selling fruit at a young age in Xi'an and worked in a shop. At the age of 20, Mei went to Beijing with friends, but returned after a month due to low-paying jobs. In early 2006, at the age of 22, Mei met Wang Hui from a nearby village through a matchmaker. They married later that year, despite financial difficulties for both families. Their wedding included borrowed items, such as a television, sound system, and DVD player. The following year, they had a son. To ease their financial burden, Mei wanted to work in her cousin's restaurant in the university town, learning skills so she could eventually open her own restaurant and provide for her son. In early 2010, at the age of 26, Mei started working at her cousin's small restaurant, earning just 700 RMB, about $103 a month. To make her commute easier, she stayed at her parents' house nearby. She rode her scooter to work at 9 a.m. and often finished work after 10 p.m., returning home around 11 p.m. On the night of the incident, Mei finished work after 10 p.m., as usual, and was on her way home on her scooter when the unfortunate event occurred. 4 hours later, at 3 a.m., Mei's father and cousin rushed to the spot and saw the tragic scene. Mei was always busy working and didn't take weekends off. She sometimes made time to visit her husband and in-laws to see her child. Known for her gentle nature and avoidance of conflict, her family thought it unlikely that anyone she knew would intentionally harm her. The incident occurred late at night, around 11 p.m., when there were few cars and pedestrians on the street. The lack of surveillance cameras at the scene made it difficult for police to investigate. They formed a special multi-departmental team to focus on gathering information from witnesses and passing vehicles. The day after the incident, on October 21st, 2010, traffic police provided an important clue. On the same Hanlin Road where Mei was attacked, about 1,500 meters away, another hit-and-run accident occurred around the same time. The driver, a young man, was driving a red Chevrolet Cruze with license plate Shanxi A419NO. He hit 2 pedestrians and tried to flee, but was stopped by a brave taxi driver who grabbed him and prevented his escape. Passers-by called the police, who quickly arrived and confiscated the Chevrolet Cruze involved in the incident. The injured pedestrians were not seriously hurt, and the driver was taken home by his parents to await a police investigation. While inspecting the vehicle involved in the hit and run, traffic police found something suspicious. Although the two pedestrians hit were not seriously injured, the car's right side bumper and front headlight had multiple scratches and a large dent the size of a half basketball. It was clear that the car had hit something else before the incident, so the police informed the specialized team working on May's case. The next day, October 22, 2010, the driver involved went to the traffic police station for questioning. He claimed to have hit two pedestrians, but said he didn't see a woman on a scooter. Without any solid evidence, the police released him after questioning. At the same time, the specialized team continued its investigation, interviewing 580 people, visiting 40 auto repair shops, and inspecting over 500 vehicles. Police ruled out robbery as a motive and focused on the suspicious red Chevrolet Cruze involved in the earlier incident. Samples from the Cruze's impact area were sent for testing. On the morning of October 23, 2010, around 9 o'clock, the driver of the red Chevrolet Cruze, accompanied by his parents, went to the police station and turned himself in. The young driver, named Yao Jiaxin, was born in 1989 and was 21 years old at the time of the incident. He lived in the city of Xi'an and was the only child in his family. Yao was a student at the Xi'an Conservatory of Music. His father had a military background and later worked as a freelancer, while his mother was a retired warehouse clerk for a defense contractor. Yao's mother received a phone call from Yao on October 20th, informing her that he had hit two people with his car, which was taken away by the police. She and her husband rushed to the hospital to visit the injured pedestrians and then took Yao home. On the morning of the 23rd, Yao hesitantly admitted to his mother that he had hit someone before the accident. Disturbed, the parents decided to take Yao to the police station to turn himself in, without asking what exactly had happened. Yao was
天要塌下来了一样，我第一时间我说那咱赶紧得去给叫他家里去投案自首嘛，我赶紧立马就给他爸打了个电话，让他爸打了个的回来，赶紧坐车去。
Yao was soon arrested when he arrived at the police station. Shortly after, Yao's parents were shocked to learn from the officers that their son was accused of murder, not just fleeing the scene of an accident. According to Yao's confession, he went to the Chang'an campus of the Foreign Language University on the outskirts of Xi'an on the evening of the 20th to meet his girlfriend. After dinner around 10 p.m., he drove back to the city. Yao's parents had bought the car a few months earlier, and it was registered in his name. While driving and listening to music, he became distracted while changing a CD on Hanlin Road, a poorly lit area. Without looking, he collided with a person riding in the same direction. When he realized the impact, he immediately braked. Yao got out of the car with his bag and walked to the back where he saw a woman lying on the ground in pain. In a split-second decision, he grabbed a knife from his bag and approached the injured woman. Seconds later, he ran back to his car and fled the scene. Feeling extremely nervous and scared, Yao drove 1,500 meters and accidentally hit two pedestrians. He got out to check, threw the knife into the bushes on the side of the road, and tried to drive away, but was stopped by a taxi driver. When asked why he had a knife, Yao explained that he had heard that the area where he was meeting his girlfriend had poor security, so he bought a fruit knife from a store for self-defense. When asked if he knew the victim, May, he replied, "No." After Yao's arrest, the victim's autopsy report was quickly released. May, who was riding a scooter, was hit by Yao's car. The impact did not cause fatal injuries, and her worst injuries were a dislocated shoulder and a broken thigh. However, she suffered 6 stab wounds, including a fatal one near her chest that caused her to die from excessive bleeding. Had Yao simply fled the scene, May, lying on the street, would likely have been found by others and survived, and Yao would have been charged with hit and run. A TV station interviewed Yao, asking why he didn't take May to the hospital and why he used a knife. The interview, which was covered by several media outlets, sparked public outrage and became a major controversy in Chinese society. People condemned Yao as a heartless criminal who lacked humanity and discriminated against rural people. Yao told police that when he saw Mei lying on the ground in pain, he was afraid she'd remember the license plate of his car. He took a knife from his bag and was unsure how many times he stabbed her. They didn't exchange words. Yao also mentioned to the reporter that he was afraid that Mei would seek medical bills and compensation, causing his parents ongoing problems.
因为就是接触过，有的时候到看到城中村呀，或者一些开的他们做生意，就是感觉跟他们不太好沟通，说话会比较直白一些，他们感觉不太好跟他们讲。经常有人说就是撞，比如出了交通事故把人撞伤了，特别难处理。还有很多人说，如果交通事故一下就把人撞死了，就还比较好处理，不会说一直纠缠着，如果把人撞残了，可能一辈子都要缠着你那样。
Many people were outraged by Yao's idea of killing to avoid trouble. On the internet, someone claiming to have inside information revealed that Yao's father was a government official or a wealthy businessman. This news made the public even more angry and hateful toward Yao, as they perceived his family as rich and heartless, and demanded that Yao give his life to pay for the victim's life. On the other hand, people felt very sorry for Mei's family. Mei's family was already struggling financially, and she left behind a child who was only 2.5 years old. Mei's family started a fundraiser online, and many people donated generously to help them. On February 25th, 2011, 4 months after the incident, and 25 days before Yao's trial, Yao's parents met with Mei's parents and husband for the first time. They apologized, and Yao's mother gave Mei's family 30,000 RMB, about $4,600. She knelt, bowed her head, and asked for their forgiveness, saying the money wasn't meant as compensation, but for Mei's funeral expenses. She also said that Yao would take responsibility for his actions. However, a few days later, Mei's family sent the money back through the post office. Mei's father said that they had given Yao's parents several chances to talk about the situation, but they never contacted them. Since it had been 4 months, they didn't want to talk anymore and wanted the court to settle everything. Yao's parents then asked the police to deliver Mei's family 15,000 RMB in cash, or about $2,300, to cover funeral expenses. Mei's family had not buried her because they thought things were still unresolved, so she remained in the morgue. On the morning of March 23, 2011, Yao's murder trial was held at the Xi'an Intermediate People's Court. More than 500 people attended as spectators, including 25 members of the victim's family, more than 400 university students, and several prominent media representatives. During the trial, the court did something unusual by handing out a survey to the audience, asking them 2 questions. What sentence do you think Yao should receive? What suggestions do you have about the trial procedures and practices? When Yao entered the courtroom, he immediately knelt and apologized to the plaintiff. He explained that he killed out of fear that the victim would continue to demand compensation from him and his parents, and that he was afraid of being blamed by his parents. He mentioned that in addition to his studies, his parents forced him to practice the piano since childhood. His mother would accompany him to practice, and if he performed poorly, she would beat him, sometimes with a belt. There was a month when his father, noticing his lack of focus on his studies and his addiction to the internet, locked him in the basement and let him out only for meals. Yao often felt hopeless about his life, under immense pressure every day, and didn't see a reason to live. Despite his parents' strict discipline, he managed to get into the Xi'an Conservatory of Music. In his 2nd year, he began teaching piano to earn money, working tirelessly on weekends and holidays, often returning home late at 11 p.m., physically exhausted. This schedule led to a decline in his academic performance. Watching his older classmates struggle to find jobs added to his stress and pushed him into depression. Yao's lawyer argued that his crime was the result of a momentary lapse in judgment, that Yao had no prior criminal record, and that he had voluntarily turned himself in to the police. The defense hoped for a lenient sentence from the court. May's family representative, Zhang Xian, claimed that Yao went to school the day after the incident, as if nothing had happened, and didn't show any remorse for his actions. He also said that Yao's family didn't show sincere remorse after the incident. Zhang Xian, a relative of May's husband Hui, was asked to represent Hui because of his limited education, although he is not a lawyer. He fiercely condemned Yao in court, calling him a murderer and adamantly demanding the death penalty, rejecting any compensation from Yao's family, and emphasizing the need to uphold the dignity of the law. Yao's lawyer showed the court a letter of apology written by Yao, as well as evidence of pleas for forgiveness from Yao's mother, and petitions from Yao's former schoolmates, neighbors, and the parents of his piano students asking for a chance to live. The prosecutor argued that Yao's past behavior was unrelated to the crime and couldn't be used as evidence. Zhang Xian dismissed this as garbage and made many unprofessional remarks in court that drew criticism from many people. He said that before Yao turned himself in, the police had found May's bloodstains on Yao's car, implying that even without Yao's confession, the police would have caught him soon anyway. The prosecutor also said that even if Yao's surrender was valid, the law does not guarantee leniency. In his final statement, Yao cried as he said,
我知道我的行为深深伤害了2个家庭，我和我的家人会尽最大的努力，希望张妙的父母、张妙的孩子、他们的家人好过一些。
完了没？
我会怀着一颗忏悔的心、感恩的心，回报社会给我的这次机会，向受害者家人赎罪，报答养育我的父母。我愿意给张妙的家人父母养老，我愿意给他们当牛做马，祈求他们的宽恕。请政府再给我一次机会，我对不起他们，对不起。
A month later, on April 22nd, the Xi'an Intermediate People's Court sentenced Yao to death for intentional homicide due to the gravity of his crime. Although he turned himself in, the court didn't show any leniency. Yao was also ordered to pay 498 RMB, about $7,000, to the victim's family. 3 days after the first trial ended on April 25, 2011, May's family representative, Zhang Xian, posted an article on his blog expressing satisfaction with the verdict, but calling the compensation decision unfair. They voluntarily decided to waive the blood money compensation and demanded redemption through Yao's life. Zhang Xian stressed, "We rural people are not difficult. You should lower your proud heads." Yao appealed the verdict, arguing that the Xi'an court didn't reduce his sentence despite his surrender. His lawyer emphasized Yao's lack of a criminal record and his family's efforts to compensate the victim's family. The lawyer argued that the sentence was too harsh, given China's cautious approach to the death penalty. On May 20, 2011, the Shanxi Provincial High People's Court upheld the death penalty in a final ruling. On May 26, 2011, 6 days after the final appeal, during Yao's death penalty review period, Yao's parents, accompanied by their lawyer, visited May's parents and son in an attempt to secure their son's last chance of survival. They left 200,000 RMB in cash, about $31,000. On May 31st, Yao's father published an article apologizing and expressing remorse to May's family. They fulfilled Yao's last wish by donating $31,000 to May's family. At the same time, he expressed his dissatisfaction with May's family representative, Zhang Xian, claiming that he had made many false claims on social media, portraying Yao's family as government officials or wealthy entrepreneurs, and inciting unwarranted hostility against Yao's family from unsuspecting netizens. He demanded an apology from Zhang Xian. Zhang Xian refused to apologize, saying that Mei's family would not accept the money as they had already sent it through the post. In response, Yao's father posted again, expressing his confusion as to why Mei's family had returned the money. Nevertheless, they would keep the money in a special account and make it available to Mei's parents and son if they needed it. Their only hope was that Mei would find peace, but unfortunately, that wasn't enough to save Yao's life in the end. On June 7, 2011, the Supreme People's Court approved Yao's execution. Before his death, Yao wanted to donate his corneas, but his father refused, telling him to leave with his guilt. Yao took responsibility for his actions and paid the ultimate price for his crimes. At the time, the public strongly supported Yao's death sentence. Following the advice of their representative, Zhang Xian, Mei's family continued to return the compensation from Yao's parents to ensure that Yao paid with his life. However, 8 months after Yao's execution, on February 8, 2012, Mei's family demanded the $31,000 they had previously refused, citing Mei's mother's illness. Mei's husband and Zhang Xian, along with others, went to Yao's family's home to collect the money. A disagreement developed into a fight between Zhang Xian and the representative of Yao's family. After the incident, Zhang Xian claimed online that he was just a bystander. He believed that Yao's father, a Communist Party member and former soldier, was trustworthy, so they went to him for the money. The incident of Mei's family asking for money immediately sparked public outrage. Many people pointed out that Mei's family initially refused to accept the money, saying that they didn't want Yao's family's blood money. This stance was supported by many netizens. In addition, Mei's family had received substantial donations, yet they went back on their word. Their action of taking life and then asking for money was considered low, since Yao had already paid with his life, and his parents didn't need to give any more money. Later, Yao's father explained that Mei's family had previously refused the money. The money had been borrowed and given back to relatives and friends after the refusal, and they didn't have an official agreement. He mentioned that he would consider helping Mei's father if he really needed it. But Mei's family needed to clarify the specific use of the donations. On August 4, 2011, Yao's father sued Mei's family representative Zhang Xian for defamation. He demanded that Zhang Xian publicly apologize to him on a popular website or news platform for 30 days and pay symbolic damages of 1 RMB for emotional distress. Yao's father ultimately won the case. Yao's case highlighted several issues in Chinese society. People debated whether Yao's punishment was based on legal judgment or moral and public opinion. Many believed that Yao's father was a government official or wealthy, which fueled more anger toward Yao and calls for his death penalty. A prominent Peking University professor, Kong Qingdong, shockingly remarked in a television interview that Yao had the typical face of a murderer. When asked about the court's polling of 500 viewers with questionnaires, he compared it to Western countries with jury systems, saying they seek the opinions of ordinary people. Yao went from his first trial to execution in just 76 days. Some legal experts at the time argued that Yao's act of surrender should be taken into account, especially since his parents took him to surrender, and suggested that the death penalty should be avoided whenever possible. In another aspect, the case of Yao, a talented music student who committed murder out of fear of trouble and parental criticism, has sparked discussions about education in China. Many Chinese parents tend to be strict and critical, rarely offering praise. Yao's father admitted that his overly strict discipline made his child afraid of making mistakes and not knowing how to deal with them, leading to a serious crime. He accepted his responsibility in this matter.
口子为这事我们俩几天几夜睡不着觉，就在反思我们到底哪儿做错了，给孩子的压力这么大。但是我觉得我想不出我们错在哪儿了呀。 难道严了对孩子严是不是也是错？你说孩子学琴挨过打，确实挨打，不少挨打的，哭着这手都得弹琴的，这都是这么过来的呀。就是说学这个艺术类这个专业，它不是那么容易的，没有付出是不可能的。
Yao felt that his father was stricter than his mother, which made him afraid. His mother told him not to fight with other children outside. If he did, he'd be scolded no matter who was at fault. In elementary school, a classmate asked Yao for a piggyback ride and charged him 1 RMB if he wouldn't do it. When the school informed Yao's father, he simply told Yao to give the ride to the classmate. This made Yao feel like he couldn't make any mistakes and had to take all the blame. Yao's father admitted that he liked his son and was pleased with his performance. However, he was concerned that Yao might become too proud, so he used criticism to keep Yao humble and maintain high standards. Yao has a part of him that feels inadequate and seeks approval, especially from his parents. After working as a piano tutor, he used the money he earned to buy gifts for his parents, hoping to make them happy. However, he didn't get the positive response he expected. Yao worked hard to earn more money and managed to earn 3,000 to 5,000 RMB. His part-time income was much higher than the 700 RMB that Mei earned. Seeing Yao's hard work, his parents used their savings of 100,000 RMB and borrowed 40,000 RMB from relatives, for a total of 140,000 RMB, about $20,000, to buy Yao a car outright. Yao's mother mentioned that her pension is only 900 RMB, about $130, and they don't have a car of their own. In discussing the case, the Chinese media have focused mainly on the legal proceedings and the family's upbringing. However, I believe that Yao's actions reflect the state of education in schools and society. Schooling emphasizes textbook knowledge over real-world experience, resulting in a lack of practical skills. The emphasis on exam results and academic achievement creates a closed environment for many students, fostering ignorance and fear of the outside world. In interviews, Yao mentioned that he's heard the disturbing belief that it's better to kill someone in a car accident than to injure them in order to avoid ongoing compensation claims from the victim's family. While shocking, this attitude reflects an underlying social norm that some are acting on. The root problem lies in China's healthcare system, where many ordinary people, especially farmers and low-income individuals, lack medical insurance and must pay for all medical expenses out of pocket. In hospitals, patients must pay before receiving treatment, even in emergencies, or they will be denied care. Even insured patients must show their insurance card at the hospital cashier's desk and pay a set amount in cash for treatment. For patients who are already being treated on the ward, if their account runs out, doctors or nurses will demand immediate payment, or they will be forcibly discharged. This is a hospital policy that requires even insured patients to pay 30% or more of the total cost. However, this policy mainly affects ordinary citizens, as those within the government system enjoy better health care. Causing harm to someone means having to pay for medical bills and possibly lost wages, creating a significant and distressing situation. In China, social news often features stories of a kind passerby who helps an elderly person in need, only to be falsely accused by the person's family of causing the injury and asked to pay for everything. These stories have created a sense of apathy among Chinese people, who are reluctant to help strangers for fear of similar accusations. Yao feared not only the wrath of his parents, but also the consequences of the accident. In the immediate aftermath of the incident, he thought it would be easier to kill someone than to injure them, in order to avoid prolonged legal and financial repercussions. While Yao's remarks about rural people may seem biased, his concern stemmed from a fear that less privileged people would be relentless in demanding compensation. In rural China, many people have very low incomes, and farmers are unable to support their families by farming alone. They often have to find work in the cities. Some retired farmers receive pensions as low as $20 or $30, which is barely enough for food, let alone medical expenses. Yao's lack of knowledge, selfishness, and fear led to the death of an innocent young mother and ultimately cost him his life. However, the underlying problem remains unresolved, and similar incidents continue to occur. What do you think?
一直在等我。你想问他什么呀？我就是想问他为什么要带刀，为什么要这样的撞了人？你可以报警的吗？为什么要动刀呢？我也不理解。
What do you think about this case? Please share your thoughts and opinions in the comments section. Thank you for watching. If you want to see more crime stories, please like and subscribe to my channel.